Hi, welcome to the Heart of Things. I'm Alyssa Sullivan. This episode is called Comfort, Numbing, and Addiction, number 2, Field Notes. So I tried an experiment to stop having alcohol in my life. So let's see, I'm talking to you, it's March 19th, 2026. I first had this idea May of last year, and I ended up drinking a couple of times in the summer. And when my birthday came around at the end of August, I flipped a switch and said, you know what? I think of all the things that I've been doing for my health and my wellness, this is one thing that I've been using pretty regularly, and my body seems to want to have it every day and not just a couple of glasses of wine. But it feels also like I'm in this in-between pocket. You know, I've talked to people who are in AA programs or other sobriety programs, and I don't think I'm in denial, but it just doesn't feel like my jam to say I'm in recovery or say that I'm sober. It just feels to me that I'm in this curious place. I've been drinking alcohol my whole adult life. I would say I'm pretty normal, the larger society, right? I started drinking in high school, and then, all the partying, going out dancing, and celebrations, birthdays, anniversaries, on vacation, give me a margarita, the whole thing. It feels like that's the normal way you do life, at least for me. And I had pockets of time, and it started happening probably about 20 years ago, where the responsibility level in my life enhanced. I opened a yoga studio, opened a business. I had 2 young children. My husband at the time had left his job and was helping out some friends who were doing a startup. So it was a lot of sort of risk going on. And I found that in the evenings, drinking wine was my and the way my body worked was, I'd open the bottle at 5 and then I'd finish it at 11. And so I never got drunk, but my nervous system found that, And interestingly enough, I slept pretty well. So I would go in and out of that being okay. Even today, when I talk to other people about that, they're like, what's the problem? So what? And maybe for you, if you're listening, that's how you live too. And so what? If I were Italian or French, maybe that's how they do it. And so what? So as I mentioned in my first episode on this, if we get rid of judgment around the consumption of alcohol, if we just lose that and just get curious, which is what I've been doing, I'm just curious, then what's there? What's going on? So what I'm reporting from the field is that it's really kind of interesting. First of all, inflammation of the joints, I've known this before, is reduced when you don't have alcohol. And I've had an issue with my right knee for a while. And besides being a yoga person, I'm also a swing dancer. And, I really live in my body. So I want my body to be functioning at 100%. So of all the things that I did for my knee, what was telling when I got rid of drinking alcohol, mostly wine is what I like, my inflammation went away. And the itis that comes and goes, itis, has gone away. So that's kind of cool. That's a benefit. And my sleeping, after the first week, just deeper, more replenishing sleep. I could fall asleep easily. And, as I mentioned before, I didn't usually have any trouble sleeping with wine, but I certainly woke up with that, just kind of it's hard to put into words, but I think those of you that drink, you know what I'm talking about. It's not even a full-blown, hangover. That's when there's excess, but just that something's foggy in there. Anyway, that's no longer there. And at 62, I'm interested in my cognitive health, I know way too many people whose parent either both parents or one parent is dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's. So I have a curiosity about that. And then, of course, because I'm a yoga teacher, people send me all kinds of articles, how cancer is linked to certain consumption of alcohol. I don't know. It feels like maybe it's a good idea to pull it out, besides the fact that I've been a little bit depressed being single in my early 60s. And so I thought, well, let's remove it. And it's been since the end of August. And what's kind of cool also around it is that I haven't changed my life. I'm still very social. I'm a really social person. I like to go out. As I've already mentioned, I'm a dancer, so I go to these bars and clubs to hear live music and dance. I have, many friends who drink still, and I go to dinner parties or hang out. And what I've figured out is that the quieter I am about it, the better it is for everybody. I don't have to make this like big thing. We'll be at a dinner party and everybody's drinking something. I just have a non-alcoholic wine. And what's kind of sweet is my friends are actually supporting me. I just went to a birthday dinner the other night, and my friends had non-alcoholic Prosecco while they were having champagne. And there we go. And I know that, when I've talked to other people who are eliminating alcohol, this is not so easy. So I don't want to be like cavalier about it, but I'm just reporting that that's been my experience. Like, I didn't have to change my life. I don't have to not go into a restaurant or go to a dinner party or go to a bar and feel like I'm missing out. The thing that's been fascinating for me, because I had full buy-in that to have fun in life, you definitely need alcohol. Like, I remember feeling quite a bit like, there's no way I would ever not want to have alcohol in my life. How boring is that? No fun. It's an easy buy-in. So what I'm reporting back to you is, guess what? You can actually have an active social life, have fun, and not feel like dog meat the next day, and not feel like you need this thing in your body to be okay. Because really, it's the nervous system, right, that we're dealing with. So I have an acupuncturist. She's given me these tinctures, which are lovely. I put in my sparkling water. There's all kinds of like non-alcoholic, cocktails and things that people are putting out now. And some of the ingredients like ashwagandha, they are good. They feel like, that same sort of feeling. I've noticed, I've tried a few of them. And so my nervous system still has that it's the same I get when I get into a hot bath, finds ease. And so as I'm operating in the world without needing alcohol to find ease or fun, it's interesting. It's different. And one of the things that I said to a friend of mine that stuck in my brain, my daughter Molly used to read the Percy Jackson books, and I remember the first movie that came out. And if you don't know the Percy Jackson thing, it's like these kids are children of the gods. Like if Zeus had a kid or Athena had a kid, and they contemporarily be in the world. And the first movie that I saw, there's a scene that stuck out to me. They end up in Vegas, and as soon as they come into this casino, they're served these lotus flowers, these beautiful little like hors d'oeuvres, and they're everywhere. The servers are carrying them around, and you can watch the kids, they're not kids really, start to get high. They're getting giggly and like, cool, this is great. Let's stay here forever. And until he gets a voice, Percy gets a voice like, this stuff you keep taking is numbing your senses. It's, you're going to lose your superpowers, basically. And so he's like, I think we have to stop eating these things to have access to our full superpowers. And I was like, bingo, I want access to my superpowers. I want full access. So I'm going to put the lotus blossoms down and see who I am without them. And, people ask me, how many days or what's your plan? I feel like all that rigidity is a bit of the problem, Like it's you're doing this or you're not doing this. You identify as this thing or you don't. From my experience, I just feel like I'm trying this thing. It's like if you decide to eat a little differently or take on a new habit, to just try it out and see who you are in the world, what it feels like to be in the world without this thing. So that's kind of, for me, what I want to say is the good news for those of you thinking about maybe you'd like to see who you are or how it feels like to not be having alcohol. I mean, the truth of the matter is, for me, I would love it if I could just enjoy a glass of wine or two occasionally. But so far, my experience has been once I invite that into my body is like, oh yeah, keep going. And I've, had it, as I've already mentioned, to a manageable level. And so part of my procrastination on it is like, well, I'm not doing bad things. There's no bottom here. And I think that's also part of the seduction. It can keep you in sort of a, kind of a place. And I don't want to live in a, that'll do kind of a place. I have a lot of passion and fire. And I'm in a new chapter of my life. And as I'm not having alcohol, I'm getting amazing memories of moments in my life that were fantastic. And, some of them were in the context of having alcohol in my life. So it's not like, oh God, this is the only thing that's going to give me peak experiences or amazing experiences. But I do feel like, at this age and stage of my life, I want full, fire. And it feels like that's what's happening for me. So I don't know. I'm just going to continue on. And the other thing that's kind of cool for me is in dating. Like I've been on several dates, and if I don't have something to drink, I can feel agitation, like an uncomfortableness from certain guys. And then certain guys are just fine, which is just an interesting thing to observe, right? Like, who cares? So what? She's not having any alcohol. I am. All right. And so that's been part of the process. I'm actually really curious to know what it feels like when I'm in a relationship with somebody again. Because every relationship I've been in, both parties, we've had alcohol. And not every day and all the time, but it's kind of been part of the relating. So I don't know. I'll have to report back from the field in my next episode to let you know. And as I've also mentioned before about this podcast, the themes that I have, they're, something I want to keep revisiting. Like I'm just talking to you guys solo, but I want to have more conversations with other people because I really do feel like authentic conversations about all the things that we're all dealing with in a real way is how we can help each other. Instead of separate out or isolate out, I think it's really one of the best gifts that we can give each other is to just be real with each other and help each other out. So I really thank you for listening and giving me your attention. Until the next time, take really good care of yourself. Thanks for tuning in.